If it remains empty for too long, you can have someone else come along and occupy the body, which is perfectly acceptable. But this does not always happen. Just because the body does not have a soul does not mean that there is some strange little being hovering around waiting to jump in the body. Even beings are discriminating.
All right, so that I'm still struggling with that idea that, for example, in a prison, there may be bodies there whose souls have moved on.
This is correct. And that which you have there is simply a body that is still on automatic pilot, as you would say, but there is no soul, no essence, no God force within that particular body. It is more likely to occur in those places you would call mental institutions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think in a prison, people would notice if the contact, somehow kind of a personal contact weren't there with the person, but in a mental institution, that might not happen. When you say that the body can carry on without a soul being present, do you mean all of the functions of the body, including some kinds of interactions with others and so on?
Yes, even including interactions with others. It is just that when you look at the person, you realize there is nothing there. It's like a very cold feeling. You realize there is no energy coming from that particular individual. And when you look into their eyes, there is this very blank, distant look. This is one way of recognizing the fact that the soul has gone on.
What would the process be here? Why would this occur?
There are numerous processes. Often the soul knows that the body will go on for whatever reason, and the soul has just decided to return to the state from which it came. Again, it was something that it knew when it incarnated and decided that it did not need to go through a death. It had been through many deaths before, and therefore it would leave before the body actually died. It is one way of having that which you would call a conscious death. It is not necessarily preferable to leaving the body at the same time, but the soul could simply consciously leave and let the body go on working. When the body finally does run down, there is no soul there that will be making the transformation because it has already made its transformation.
Would this apply then to situations like prisoner of war camps where individuals were so harshly treated? Might some of those bodies have been there, still identified as alive, with the soul having gone on?
Yes, this is very possible. Any places where human beings are under great torture is also possible, such as your prisoners of war or other type situations where the soul will just step out. It all depends on whether the soul will learn from going through a conscious death, whether it wants to be asleep when it dies. It's all up to the soul.
Could you explain a little more what you mean there by conscious death?
Your ideal is to die a conscious death, to be aware that when you leave the body, you are leaving it for the last time. This is the ultimate adventure there on your planet. And so when you step out, you want to know that you're stepping out and dropping the body, so to speak.
For the last time.
So that even something like stepping out while the body is asleep would be not a conscious death, for example?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
It is not unlike that which Mr. Monroe talks about when you go out of body. Everyone goes out of body. The trick is to know when you're going out. It is the same type of thing, except in this instance, you won't be coming back.
Mm-hmm. Now, if a soul has gone out of the body, then what keeps the body running, and also what are the processes then by which death occur?
There's an interesting process by which death occurs. The body itself can act very much like a computer and just tick on as long as it is fed and as long as the organs are working normally. Death occurs because any body that does not have a soul in it has a limited lifetime, very much like a wind-up doll. The soul, in essence, is that part that continually winds and rewinds the body. So once the soul has stepped out, the body itself will just basically wind down. This may take several years. It may take as long as 20 years. It may take less than a day. But it is a matter of imagining, because the soul is energy. The energy is felt through the solar plexus and it goes clockwise. And the soul is constantly winding and rewinding your body, creating it into the form that you wish it to be. Once the soul is gone, there is nothing there creating the form. And so the last form starts to dissolve and winds down.
Are there ever then any bodies born that do not have a soul accompanying them?
Yes, there are. It is rare, but this does take place. Often these bodies do not live very long because they need the soul to come in to wind them up, to give them the energy to grow into adulthood. There are times when a soul will suddenly decide at the last minute that it does not wish to incarnate, or that this is not the particular situation that it wishes to be into, at which time another soul must be found to come into the infant, or else the infant will pass on.
Those other souls are usually available, however,
There are always souls hovering around
that wish to have a physical body.
that wish to have a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
It is just as to whether the guidance that is working with them agrees that this physical body is one that would be best for them.
How does this relate then to the idea of agreements made before birth that a certain soul will come into a particular family?
Even there is always choice. Things always change. That is the nature of the universe. And so just because an agreement has been made, there may be at the last minute some change somewhere that alters the structure of the agreement.
Can you give an example of the kinds of things that might result in a soul deciding not at the last moment not to enter a physical body?
Because change is always there, something could happen on the plane that possibly was foreseen, possibly was not foreseen. Something had happened between the two parents that would alter the entire situation of the environment the soul was going to grow up into. This would be a cause for changing and deciding not to incarnate. Most things are always seen, but this is not always the case. Change goes on. Soul may decide this is not what he or she wants.
Could this also be the choice of one of the parents that at the last moment they wish not to have a particular soul enter?
It could be because a birth is an agreement between three souls: the soul that is going to incarnate, the soul of the mother, and the soul of the father. Not to mention the guides that are around helping that particular soul decide to incarnate. Given all this, there are a number of factors coming into play. Any one could change their mind. This is Terry, I'm back.
Oh, what happened?
there was a hand on my arm or something.
Okay.
That was very strange.
Okay, see if you can get a sense of what that might have been.
Okay. I don't feel scared. I just all of a sudden here.
It sounds like it was a shock reaction.
It was a shock, yeah. My heart isn't raised, I don't think. My heart's not raising, just a shock.
Okay, just check and see if you can get an idea of what may have happened there.
I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. Let's see what I was doing.
Oh, the thing was on you?
I was moving in here. My body was moving. And I guess they didn't want my body moving, or something didn't want my body moving. And so something grabbed my left arm.
What grabbed your left arm?
I see an energy that is has long gray robes and is very big, 8 feet tall, very large hands and no face, and says it's the guardian of which I was talking about. And it's interesting. He says he's death. It's not scary. He says he's always there. He's always there on the left. And he's not scary. And that he watches out, just like all the other guardians, that that we choose to see. That we only choose to see those that are very positive and not scary, but that if we don't know that death is there and live with death, then we're not really living. And I like him. He said that we've been talking about birth and death. No, you've been talking about birth and not really looking at the shadow or death. And the shadow is always there. And it's not scary. And that death protects us as much as the other guardians protect us. Sometimes even more so, because it is our own death that keeps us alive. It's very interesting.
The protection provided, though, by death is that has something to do with protecting your life?
Yes, yeah. Because death comes in its own good time. And it is a protection of making you live everything to the fullest. And keeping you aware and as conscious as possible. Oh, you were talking about death. You were talking about conscious death. Keeping you aware of